While everyone was distracted with the stagnant Bitcoin price, another huge bank has silently acquired nearly $500 million of Bitcoin. But let's not forget everything else Wall Street has done in the past 90 days. First of all, the big splash was JP Morgan rolling out a MicroStrategy competitor. And then at the same time, now you can use Bitcoin as collateral for a loan. And then Morgan Stanley just recently filed for a spot Bitcoin ETF. We have Charles Schwab announcing Bitcoin trading is going live in 2026. Vanguard finally allows its customers to buy the Bitcoin ETF. Citibank is predicting 143K Bitcoin in 2026. And Bank of America recommends up to a 4% allocation of Bitcoin to its clients. And now the $2.1 trillion bank, Wells Fargo, has silently tripled its exposure to Bitcoin. Literally every huge bank has bent the knee to Bitcoin so far entering 2026. And you're still busy selling your coins because you think 2026 is going to be a bear market. Please make it make sense. Everything I'm seeing, it's making it very hard for me to see that 2026 isn't going to be a huge year. Obviously, it's still barely early in the year, but everything is aligning. All the ducks are in a row. Now, I'm going to recover some of this. I already gave you guys kind of the big headlines. I will pull up the headlines, but I'm not alone. I do have our boy, Brian DeMint, head of marketing for what is now Club Orange, formerly Orange Pill app. So, Brian, always a pleasure to get here with you and chat. Let me rip through some of these headlines and get to the Wells Fargo news, and then we'll kind of chat about. We actually had a very good conversation before of where we think Bitcoin is currently. So again, I pulled up all of these headlines. I already kind of laid it out for you, but just so you don't think I'm making up stuff here, these are all coming from official sources. You know, Yahoo Finance, JP Morgan's Bitcoin structured note offers potentially massive returns if Bitcoin surges by 2028. This is the MicroStrategy copycat. And then we have Pet Rock No More. JP Morgan now accepts Bitcoin as collateral. Again, I'm just telling you guys, this is not me making stuff up. We're just recapping what's happened in the last couple of months. Next one, Citigroup raises their base case price target for Bitcoin of 143K. Again, I think a lot of people don't know what the big banks are in the US, and these are all the big banks. It's Citigroup, JP Morgan, Bank of America, I think it's Bancorp and Wells Fargo, I believe, are the top five, and they've all come around on Bitcoin very quickly. Now, of course, the Vanguard saga, we covered this all of last year. Finally, towards the end of the year, they will now allow the crypto ETFs to be sold on their platform when they very famously said this would never happen. And then the CEO got fired. And then literally the guy that launched the BlackRock ETF is the new CEO. So again, tell me I'm seeing things when all the headlines are saying the opposite. Wall Street wants Bitcoin. Rather, Wall Street wants your Bitcoin. So don't sell it to them. Next one. Headline, why the $12 trillion Charles Schwab crypto entry could threaten U.S. crypto exchanges. Again, Charles Schwab, one of the biggest traditional financial exchanges for stocks and equities. They're going to launch a Bitcoin, or at least launch Bitcoin on their platforms. Next, of course, Bank of America joins JP Morgan, Morgan Stanley by recommending a Bitcoin portfolio allocation. Again, on the more conservative side, 1%. On the more risky edge, 4%, which in my opinion, we got to pump these numbers up, Bank of America. These are rookie numbers. And then here, we finally get to Wells Fargo, which was really highlighted on Twitter by CZ, of course, famously of Binance. And here's the headline. Binance founder CZ encourages crypto holders as Wells Fargo reports Bitcoin ETF holdings. And they have corrected in here, because if I show you the official, or not the official, but like kind of the post that really went viral, it does sound like it was, Wells Fargo purchased 383 million themselves. Though the clarification is not Wells Fargo using their own balance sheet to buy Bitcoin exposure. This is really the clients of Wells Fargo wanting Bitcoin exposure, which I think says a lot in and of itself. Now, this isn't the first time that clients at Wells Fargo kind of dip their toes in Bitcoin. The official number that I saw was around August of 2025. They had about 160 million of Bitcoin ETFs held by their client. Now they added 383 million. So, I mean, I said triple. I'm like, can I actually get away with saying triple? I think they tripled their Bitcoin exposure at Wells Fargo, but someone fact check me on this one, okay? Anyways, just reading this a little bit, again, the clarification was it's not Wells Fargo actually buying Bitcoin for themselves. It's the clients wanting Bitcoin. But anyways, last week, filings revealed that the clients of Wells Fargo had amassed substantial exposure to Bitcoin through ETFs. Yes, it is paper Bitcoin, but I think it still points in the same direction. First, you kind of get into the paper Bitcoin if you're a more TradFi investor. It's safe, it's regulated, it's something you're comfortable with. Self-custodying Bitcoin from an institutional level right now is, like, I would say, completely out of the question, but in my opinion, that's what you should be doing. Anyways, this is kind of probably the big take here. This development has elicited reaction from the cryptocurrency community. Further, this disclosure that Wells Fargo's clients hold 383 million in Bitcoin comes at a time of increasing uncertainty in the wider cryptocurrency market, which is all the debate right now. Nico and I have been debating this on the show, whether we're in a 4-year cycle, whether we're going into a bear market, whether we're going to go down 70% from all-time high. All of this trend, all of these developments are telling me the opposite. I think we saw the bottom. I think that 30%-ish correction is the most we're going to see right now. The price is reacting pretty good. It was a little frothy this morning. We still have to break through some significant levels before we know for a fact that we are not going to go into a bear market. But anyways, CZ pointed out that while many are panic selling, major U.S. banks like Wells Fargo are seeing client inflows into Bitcoin ETFs, which is what I've been saying for a while. Look, the institutions are in control now. Retail is nowhere to be seen. Retail inflows into the ETF, though I know that is a little confusing. I know you guys yell at me all the time. Is like, we are retail, bro. I'm like, yeah, but I think if you've been a Bitcoiner for a few years, we're in a different category than what I would consider retail. And so we can no longer just watch what happens from, a spot Bitcoin view here. What happens on chain when there's no one there, I don't think is what's driving the Bitcoin price anymore. I think it's the ETFs. I think it's the institutions, and watching the inflows and, of course, the leverage market. It's going to tell us what's happening in the Bitcoin price. So hence why in the last couple of weeks, I've been really focused on the ETF inflows, because that tells you the appetite of the institutions. That tells you how much they want Bitcoin, how much they think Bitcoin is going to be a quote unquote real asset. And thus, this is why I think this is important. Anyways, such accumulation through traditional banking channels is seldom accidental. Again, message suggesting a long-term strategy by investors anticipating future Bitcoin growth. Meanwhile, like I said, retail sentiment is like nowhere to be found. I don't think there's any new Bitcoiners right now. I think it's all the same people in Bitcoin for a very, very long time. I don't think anything has changed amongst our Bitcoin thesis. But since we haven't had number go up, I think the stablecoin aspect of Bitcoin has really kind of killed the momentum for retail to come in. Plus, remember, the shitcoin cycles really kind of wrecked a lot of investors, and they probably didn't go full Bitcoin maxi. They're just like, I'm out of this whole industry altogether. It's just filled with frauds and scams, and I'm not trying to lose my shirt right now. So that's, I think, the very interesting contrast we are seeing currently. Institutions are setting up Bitcoin products. Institutions want Bitcoin, obviously paper Bitcoin, through the ETFs. And at the same time, me and Brian were just joking about this is the worst sentiment we've seen in Bitcoin in years, and we're at 93K right now. It really doesn't make a lot of sense when you are like, wait, if you've been in Bitcoin for a long time, maybe you got in at 10K, 3K, 20K. You're up on your bags, and we're all bored to death, and we're all like, can Bitcoin do something? Hence why I'm like, I think this was Wall Street's opportunity to acquire a lot of Bitcoin. And interestingly enough, I wasn't going to bring this on today, but Greg Foss absolutely nailed this on Twitter on December 2024. I'm gonna read this real quick before I pass it to you, Brian, because I do think it adds value. We haven't heard much from Greg Foss in a long time, and he literally just dropped like the best sauce and then disappeared for the whole year, basically telling us exactly what was going to happen this year. And we just completely forgot about it because Greg Foss wasn't around all year. So let me find this. I'm pretty sure I have it right here, and it explains exactly what happened in 2024 or 2025, and hence why I've been saying I think what we saw in 2025 was Wall Street's kind of play to acquire as much Bitcoin as possible. So here we go. Let me read this real quick, and then Brian, we will chat about 4-year cycle, what your thoughts are on the banks coming in. Here's Greg Foss. Again, this was December 30th of 2024. And he goes, unpopular opinion, 2025 could be a down year for Bitcoin because traditional risk assets are lower, high yield spreads blow out, equities are down, and the new money into Bitcoin ETFs will trade it as a risk on asset that is correlated, which I've been saying and explaining to you guys for the last couple of weeks. I believe Bitcoin to be the ultimate hedge to systemic risk, i.e. a risk-off asset or a long vol asset in a world of short volatility assets. However, there's a lot of big money that needs to be educated on the, quote, insurance angle of Bitcoin, and in the short run, the risk-asset correlation will likely be forced upon us by hedgies who need to be short something to, quote, hedge their equity and credit risk. Ultimately, they may be hedged and wedged, and the short exposure to Bitcoin will need to be reversed because a long exposure to Bitcoin is actually the correct hedge. But again, this education takes time. But when it finally clicks, the gamma squeeze on the, quote, put on the Fed put will be historic. The Omega candles that we sometimes hear about, Excellion, those will come. Let's watch and learn. Happy New Year. Don't shoot the messenger and beware of too many 100K celebration. I don't know. Absolutely called this. Oh, wait, I didn't pull it up. Sorry, guys. I'll pull this up while I let Brian take on this. But look, I think Greg Foss absolutely nailed it, which makes my thesis of, 2025 the last year. I think this is Wall Street trying to get a good position in Bitcoin, and I think 2026 is going to be extremely bullish here. So I ranted enough. Brian, what's your thoughts on this? Let's start with first and foremost, because we did talk about this before the show. The Wall Street interest into Bitcoin the last few months is absolutely incredible. I think it's a totally paradigm shifting moment for Bitcoin. And yet a lot of Bitcoiners still have this old view of what Bitcoin has done in the past and trying to use that to telegraph where it's going to go in the future.
Yeah, first off, they screwed up when they let Opti and I be on the show together. A couple bulltards just unchecked by anything of regularity. So you're going to get just pure optimism from this crew today. But I don't think it's unfounded. I mean, I really do think exactly what you said. We are in a paradigm shift. And this is what we go through. It's funny. We can read history books. We can see these things happening. But for whatever reason, when they happen to us, we think that it's different. We think that this isn't what they felt when some guy created gunpowder in his lab, and then later the king adopts gunpowder for his army, right? Like that seemed like a corrupting of that force. And that's just part of technological adoption. When the cypherpunks of the internet, when the first .gov website was launched, the cypherpunks didn't say the internet is unusable because there are .gov websites just because the mainstream adopted it or just because the man adopted it. That didn't make the internet unusable, right? It is a stamp of approval that this is a new generation. As soon as the .gov websites came around, it didn't signal to the cypherpunks that the internet was here to stay. The cypherpunks, or the early internet adopters, they always knew that the internet was a tool that everybody could use. But the .gov website or the Wells Fargo website or the big institution website put a stamp on the internet to everybody else that's a third or fourth order adopter, that is a latecomer to technology. It is a stamp of validity to those people. And so this is the step. This is late stage adoption of something. I'm not saying it's the latest stage because there's still plenty to go, but this is one of the later stages. You have the lunatic fringe at the beginning. You have the early adopters. We are in the man stamp of approval stage of it. And so, yes, when an entity like Wells Fargo comes to the game and they're buying hundreds of millions of dollars, not them, but their clients. That is a stage of adoption that, yes, can make some people feel uncomfortable, but it is perfectly natural. And it is the order that it was going to, like every Bitcoiner that came in yours and my generation of Bitcoin Opti, we knew that this was going to happen. We were predicting this. We said, we actually got made fun of by our friends that someday Wells Fargo would be buying it for their clients. Did we not think that this was going to be part of the thing? No, that's just the natural order of things. And here's the good news, though, is that when these institutions are saying just put 1% or just put 1.5% allocation into Bitcoin, they're doing that specifically. It's not because they actually want investors to only put in 1%. They know what happens when a giant institution says, let's invest 1% of your portfolio. They know that human intuition is, well, if everybody else is investing 1%, I need to put 5%. I need to put 10%. They know they're investors that just by a mainstream institution recommending that, they will get higher investment than what they're suggesting, but they get to maintain immunity from the downside effects if somebody did put 10% in and then the price dropped. They get to say, well, we just said hedge with 1%, knowing that they will stimulate higher than 1% with their recommendation. Again, stamps of approval is the phase that we're in right now. This is good. This is healthy. You might not like every element of it, but guess what? We're on the path to victory.
Absolutely incredible, Brian. Great breakdown of this. Now, I do want to talk about the 4-year cycle, because fundamentally, to me, like what you just said, and then all the news I recapped of all the banks coming into Bitcoin basically towards the end of 2025 and the beginning of 2026, this is fundamentally, in my opinion, just showing us that Bitcoin has matured. It is a macro asset now. Yes, as Greg Foss said, it might be, not the macro asset perspective us Bitcoiners love or want to see, but it is very clearly being involved in the macro asset conversation, which, in my opinion, from what I'm seeing from the Trump administration, from what I'm seeing for the 2026 kind of macro factors and variables right now, it's all saying one thing to me. They're going to run the economy so hot. They're going to turn on the money printer into overdrive. I think the amount of liquidity is going to expand to numbers we probably can't even fathom right now. And a lot of that is going to drive Bitcoin to go higher. Yes, Bitcoin was delayed in 2025, but this, in my opinion, is just further kind of data points that the 4-year cycle is going to break in 2026. I think it broke in 2025, but there's still people clinging to the 4-year cycle because it hit all-time high 18 months after, even though every other factor and variable for the 4-year cycle has been broken. So I'm on 2026 is going to be a bullish year. I think 4-year cycle is done. I think it's over, and it's being driven by the institutions. Now, everyone's heard my take here. I only said that so Brian kind of gets the context of what my view the 4-year cycle is. But Brian, I know at the very least that you are not on the 4-year cycle train. So let the people know you're thinking on the 4-year cycle.
No, I agree with what you said. I think that we saw enough, and I'm not a big chart guy or whatever, but like we saw enough points on the charts that would mean that the 4-year cycle is at the very least dysregulated, right? It is not following its natural order of the 4-year cycle. I think we benefit from the good elements of the 4-year cycle. And I'll tell you what, I get calls, and I was telling you this off air, I get calls from investors, hedge fund investors, like heads of hedge funds, that they will see the Bitcoin price drop, and then they will call to ask, is this part of the 4-year cycle? Like this is, or text messages come in. You got to talk these guys off a ledge. So these are guys that are managing millions and millions of dollars in Bitcoin holdings, and they're not moving necessarily according to the 4-year cycle, but they're asking the question, should I get out? Like, is this that segment of the cycle? So there's people I definitely know who are paying attention to it. But what seems to happen is there's enough sound Bitcoin judgment, or they're going to Bitcoiners. That's one of the refreshing things to me, is that just in my small experiences, there are guys that have these giant holdings in Bitcoin that are asking guys like me, like Opti, like probably some of you guys in the audience, of what stage are we in right now? And when we can talk those guys off a ledge, and every time I've had a conversation with those guys, they don't sell, they don't change their customers' positions or anything like that. They don't adjust. They are going to not see the downside of the 4-year cycle, but there will be the halving. The halving is something that does happen, and the positive effects from that, I think, will still occur. When there's a scarcity crunch, I think the natural order is that that is going to increase demand because of a FOMO effect. I don't think that we have the latent effect, that because the reason why I don't think that the downside comes as much is because it is after, it is removed from the halving, where the excitement around the halving tends to come a little bit before and a little bit after, but the news of the halving is what's going to stimulate the markets, I think, in a positive way. So I would say the 4-year cycle is dysregulated. Not that halvings don't affect price. I think we just get the positive element from it. And the good thing here is that it has become a macro asset in the sense that for good or bad, right? We now have the Wells Fargos of the world buying and holding, and the micro strategies and those types of things. Whether you like that or not, there are very diamond-handed holders in this market. Now, on the flip side of it, there was a really interesting thing that happened in the end of 24 and 25 was this $100,000 level. And I know any OG that I talked to, that was a significant, an OG Bitcoiner, any OG Bitcoiner that was in early, 100K was a very significant number. That was the number early on in Bitcoin, when Bitcoin was $100, when Bitcoin was $1,000, when Bitcoin was $20. They told themselves, when it gets to 100, I will offload 5%. I will offload 6%. That will be I'm not getting out of Bitcoin, but that was just for, like it or not, that was the number in these OG whales' head where they could start to enjoy some of the fruits of their holding. And that happened. And I don't think we see that again. I don't think we see that occur at 200,000. I don't think we see that occur at $250,000 Bitcoin. There was something psychological about hitting 6 digits of 100,000. And again, that was a lot of OG Bitcoiners. That was their visionary prophecy of the future, was that Bitcoin would hit 100,000, which was crazy at the time that they made those predictions. But when it came to fruition, they enjoyed the fruits of their labor. They enjoyed the fruits of their discipline. So I don't think we see that again. I think that we've passed that moment. And again, guys, the Bitcoin OGs had a lot of Bitcoin, and a lot of Bitcoin was unloaded by them. And you've seen the amount of wallets that have over 100 Bitcoin in them now is going up. So that Bitcoin was absorbed by some of these diamond-handed holders, these big institutions. And so again, not all of that sunshine and roses, but the reality is that some of the forces that suppressed Bitcoin this year that we didn't like, I don't think those are coming back around.
Let's go. I'm with that. Though, to be clear here, Brian, no hedge fund manager is asking me my opinion on Bitcoin. They know I have a 42 IQ, so don't put me in on the right side of the bell curve with you. Okay, that's not happening. But I do want to say one quick thing about what you said, because it really reminded me of God Saul's book Mind Virus, and it's starting to, at least in my opinion, be viewed as like the 4-year cycle meme is like this mind virus. And in the early years of Bitcoin, it was like a positive mind virus. It's like you spread the meme, everyone knows 4-year cycle, Bitcoin's going to go up. All you got to do is hold for 18 months. If it's dropping, like just make sure you're able to survive with your holdings, and then it's going to pump and you'll be okay. Now it seems like it's a negative mind virus. And I don't think that's God Saul's kind of framing here. I think it's just like, this is what a mind virus is. But I've been seeing a lot of headlines and a lot of people saying something very similar, that the reason we're seeing Bitcoin kind of move how it's been moving the last couple of months is because everyone believes in the 4-year cycle, and hence why we saw a drop, hence why we're seeing a lot of people hedge their positions. Everyone's wondering, are we going into a bear market? So it does seem like we have gotten to a point where the 4-year cycle does have like this negative feedback loop, and just because we believe it, it's like a self-fulfilling prophecy. It's like, oh, it's going to go down, I'm going to sell, and therefore we see more selling. Though I'm going to be very excited this year if it just completely, blindsides everyone and we start pumping, because I'm going to be able to take my victory lap here. I get to point my finger at Nico and be like, I told you so, you're wrong. Who's the smart one now? I claim to be an idiot, and yet I somehow figured this out. So I'm warming up to it, Brian, but it does seem like the 4-year cycle is becoming a self-fulfilling prophecy in like the negative aspects of that. And while you were talking, it just like that the God saw mind virus thing kind of just clicked in my head. I'm like, oh, that's exactly what's going on. It's just because we believe that it's going to go down. That's why the price is kind of doing what it's doing. And until everyone sees to the opposite, everyone's like, oh, 4-year cycle, that's what's happening. And the fact we have like hedge fund managers talking to you about it, you're like, oh, dude, we are shooting ourselves in the foot right now. We are actually hurting our narrative because we all believe in the 4-year cycle so much.
Yeah, I would almost call it it's like the Bitcoin 4-year cycle placebo effect.
Yeah.
Right? It's not real, but we believe it is, or some people believe it is. And so it will affect. And this is like one of the most, if you read any research paper about how powerful the placebo effect is, the most reliable effect in all of medicine is the placebo effect. And it's just, that a certain percentage of people in a control group in a study will say that they got improvement for a symptoms of something if they take a placebo, not knowing it's a placebo. So placebos are very, very powerful. It takes time, it takes generations, and we have 4-year generations that happen in Bitcoin for people to be removed from it. So I think each 4 years, less and less people will be convinced of the power of the 4-year placebo.
I'm with that. Yes. We're not calling it the 4-year cycle anymore. We're calling it the 4-year placebo. You heard it here first, guys. Brian just coined it. So the chat, actually, when Nico comes on talking about the 4-year cycle, I want you guys to spam the 4-year placebo effect in full effect with Nico. Okay. All right, guys. So for the rest of the show, I'm going to play Jack Muller's clip from his mailbag or Monday mailbag. I forget. Maybe it's mailbag Monday live stream. He, in a more eloquent way than I can, is saying the exact same thing I've been saying. I've been screaming it on the show for the last couple of weeks, why I think this year is going to be bullish. I'll get more Brian's response to this because you've heard me say it in a less eloquent way. So, I think he did a great job. And then in the news, guys, I covered the JPow versus Trump kind of latest event and new saga. We got an even more interesting saga wrinkle coming out yesterday, or maybe, yesterday night, where all the central bankers now are they're all aligning with JPow. It's honestly, on the one hand, really hilarious and also very sad. And I think the game is being exposed here, like very clearly on what's going on. So we'll chat about that. And then, of course, with Brian, we're going to be chatting about, formerly known as Orange Pill App, now Club Orange, and all the things they're doing, all the cool stuff they're doing. So that's the layout for today's show. I will be back after a quick commercial break, and we will get into some more information.
Today's episode is brought to you by Bitcoin Well Infinite. If you're a serious Bitcoin buyer, you've probably hit the same wall. Most platforms make you give up custody just to play by the rules. Bitcoin Well Infinite fixes that. They're North America's only publicly traded, non-custodial OTC desk listed on the TSX Venture Exchange, which means transparent operations and zero counterparty risk.
You buy Bitcoin, you take immediate control, period. For trades over $50,000, you get a dedicated executive Bitcoin advisor, competitive spread starting at 1%, and immediate delivery straight to your own wallet. No custody risk, no withdrawal fees, just institutional grade execution with full asset control. If you want to buy Bitcoin the right way, book a free consultation at bitcoinwell.com/OTC or email infinite@bitcoinwell.com.
I want to give a shout out to our partner, StampSeed. Is your Bitcoin in cold storage really secure? Are your seed phrases really secure? StampSeed's do-it-yourself kit has everything you'll need for you to hammer your seed words into commercial-grade titanium plates instead of just writing them down on paper. Paper is fragile. Titanium plates are strong. Your words are actually stamped into the titanium plate with this hammer. and these letter stamping tools. Once the words are in, they aren't going anywhere. No risk of the plate breaking apart and pieces falling everywhere. Titanium stamp seeds will survive nearly triple the heat produced by a house fire. They're also crush-proof, waterproof, non-corrosive, and time-proof. And now you can customize your titanium seed plates. You can upload your design or logo, and they will laser engrave it on the back of your seed plate, the opposite side of where the words are. Stamp your seed on Stamp Seed and use promo code SIMPLY to get 15% off anything on the stampseed.com store.
All right. Hold up. I might have to crash out on the chat real quick. Hold on. I know I have a time limit today, but yo, chat. I am not, this is all proof of work. Okay. I have not taken the shortcut to working out. I've been in the gym. All right. I don't even know if I can even say the S word here, but not true. Fake news. I'm crashing out. I really wish I took the shortcut. I don't like the gym at all, but shouts out to Sal. Anyways. Yeah, sorry. I'm crashing out right now, Brian. I'm crashing out. All right. Anyways, pivot here. Current Bitcoin price is $93,390. The discount from all-time high is 26%. The market cap, hey, we're inching back towards 2 trillion, 1.87 trillion, and the block height, TikTok next block, 932,151. Repeat, 932,151. Okay, so first off, of course, shouts out to Jack Maulers. I don't know, something about people from Chicago. They're just goated, you know, like he's just one of the best. I love Jack Maulers. But he did his mailbag Monday or Monday mailbag show. I always mix that up. And he literally explained exactly what I've been saying in a much more eloquent way of why we think 2026 is going to be extremely bullish. I'm not going to respond to it because you've heard me rant about it. So I'm going to kind of tee up Brian here. Let's play the clip for you guys. I think this perfectly explains what's going on currently and why it's extremely hard not to be bullish right now.
Now that you've got that out of the way, the point is the President of the United States views himself as a historical figure. The President of the United States has shown that he is willing to go to extreme levels to prove that. The President of the United States believes he will be impeached if he loses midterms. Midterms are at the end of this year. We've talked on and on and on and on. Bitcoin is the best expression of currency debasement. It's the best expression of money printing. Bitcoin is very simply priced on future expectations of fiat supply. Say, why is the Bitcoin price up? Why is the Bitcoin price down? Bitcoin moves as they create more or delete more dollars, period. It's some combination of technology plus fiat liquidity. People will say, is it a tech stock? People will say, is it trading like gold as an alternative neutral system? And the answer is both. Okay. And so this is a huge year, and we need to set the tone by understanding we are in midterm year. The Democrats have an 80% chance to win according to open markets. Trump feels the pressure. The administration was not able to make a lot of progress in 2025, and it depends on which side you sit. If you're a Republican, you say, well, the Fed is acting as political Democrats. The tariff stuff is being fought over in court. Everyone's getting in his way. He's trying. He's making good progress. The market hasn't appreciated it. And against all the, headwinds in his face, he's doing his best. If you're a Democrat, you're saying this egomaniacal son of a gun overpromises, underdelivers. Remember when he said that Elon Musk was going to, run our budget like a startup and fix everything? What a moron. The point is, it doesn't matter. The Dems are going to win the midterms if nothing changes. He's going to get aggressive. What would that aggression look like? Well, what a Sunday it was where the sitting chair of the Federal Reserve posted a hostage video, effectively, to Twitter. I mean, you have got to be kidding me. This is the best timeline to ever be having a pulse. I mean, what are the odds that we are all alive right now?
You gotta love Jack Mallers. I couldn't have said, I literally can't say it better than him. So I'm not going to respond to this. You guys heard me talk about something very similar. And I do want to add one little thing in there, though. If you heard his take on the Republican stance on what's going on with the Fed right now, it sounds like someone that's on the show constantly, and his name is not Opti. So look, I'm just going to say that. Okay. But Brian, we were chatting about this. I think you kind of said something very similar in the beginning, but I think this is probably the most succinct kind of way to explain what is going on. And like, it's literally the two minute elevator pitch. Like, this is what's happening. You can't convince me otherwise. This is why I'm extremely bullish on this year. It's as clear as day to me that what Jack Mallers just said is exactly what's happening. I've been saying this in various ways on the show. I can't see, like, I can't hear him and be like, oh, that's not what's happening. Like, to me, this is the clearest signal about where we currently are in the Bitcoin movie and in the macro markets, in my opinion. So, in my humble opinion here. But Brian, what's your thoughts here? You're not on the show constantly, so I want to hear your thoughts on what Jack just said.
I mean, this for sure is going to be a scene in The Big Short too. So just mark this moment. The Jerome Powell hostage video, when they make a movie about this era, and it's going to happen, that will be a moment in it. I'm interested to see who plays Trump. I'm interested to see who plays Powell. But this, like Mike Mueller said, this is the best moment to be alive and have a pulse. We are seeing so much chaos. But the beautiful part is we're already on the lifeboat. If you're in Bitcoin, you're already on the lifeboat. So you get to sit back and watch the house burn. Now, that's a really nihilistic thought in many ways, but that's why you guys are on air every day. That's why we're at Club Orange. We're building a social network of people so that people can unload onto the lifeboat now. That's why it's really important. But I will say this, and I'll keep it short and succinct. Money printing will be proportionate to the degree at which Trump is coming after Powell. Let me say that again. Money printing is going to be proportionate to the degree at which Trump is coming after Powell. There's 2 points there. It is going to be unprecedented. It is going to be vicious and crowd pleasing. And that's all I'll say on that.
Love it. I absolutely love that. I don't think I've heard that. That's a little too gigabrain for me. I can't even wrap my head around your statement, but I'm gonna have to digest on that one, Brian. But I agree. I definitely agree with the unprecedented aspect of this. It's again, look, whether you like Trump or not, like, he's no dummy. Well, you could argue he is a dummy, but he's got smart people around him. What he is really good at is kind of like accumulating the zeitgeist, the cultural conversation around where he is. And I think he understands that some of the stuff he did towards the end of the year, he's not very popular. As a Republican, how do they kind of gain favor again? Is they just like start printing money. They just run the economy hot. Again, Republicans historically run on a good economy. Like, they run on economics. And the only way to kind of gain favor is, saying some mean tweets, maybe doing some kind of badass military procedures, and then making sure the economy is just like making sure you feel like you are doing well. The only real move they have is turning on the money printer. That's all they can really do. Also, of course, this whole battle on interest rates, but they have to run the economy hot. Like, he basically needs to give you helicopter money for them to win the midterms again, or else like he's in a lot of trouble. So that's kind of my thesis, my base view of where we're going. It's like, oh, they're going to literally print trillions of dollars, like way faster than they printed in the past. And I believe last year and the year before, it was like $1 trillion was spent or rather created every 100 days. I wouldn't be surprised if we're seeing like trillions of dollars like every 2 months, you know, like every 50 days. I'm convinced it's going to be that unprecedented, like Brian was saying.
Well, this is the life cycle of fiat. We act as though it It is the exact specific circumstances of right now that this is only going to happen because of Trump, or this is only going to happen because of Powell. This was the preordained future of fiat. This was going to happen. And so Bitcoiners, gold bugs, have been betting on this and have been understanding that this would come at some time. Now, it's like trying to predict when Christ is going to come back, right? Like the Bible says that don't try to figure out when Jesus is going to come back, because that's what the cults do. And like they're always wrong, right? They're like, oh, September 4th, Jesus is coming back. It's the same thing. Like, when is fiat going to fail? Like, when is a bag of, a trash bag full of $100 bills not going to buy you anything? Well, I don't know the date, but guess what? Like, this is the life cycle. This is inevitable. And what I meant too is not just that, like I said, it was going to be unprecedented, that what Trump's going to do is going to be vicious and crowd pleasing. I don't mean that it's like good by being crowd pleasing. It's as Opti mentioned, it's bread and circus, right?
Yeah.
Trump's bread and circus, Biden's bread and circus was getting celebrities to endorse certain things, or getting, athletes to endorse certain things. That was the bread and circus of the Democrats. The bread and circus of conservatism or of MAGA is going, like you said, military strikes. It's doing war with the central bank. It's inverting the food pyramid, right? I think some of those things are good. But that is the thing that is going to be crowd pleasing to conservatives, right? That is the bread and circus of the conservatives. And so whether those are good things, those are big, bold, and crowd pleasing things. Now, when it comes to the money printer, Trump knows that everybody will be happy about it, right? Everybody's craving loose cash. Poor people want loose cash. Bitcoin maxis are loose cash. We know that it's bad for dollars, but we have been saying that dollars aren't even the thing that we want to help survive anyways. Gold bugs, silver bugs, all across the board. If you own stock, you know that loose cash is going to inflate your bags. It'll be crowd pleasing, not because it's good. It'll be crowd pleasing in the way that heroin is crowd pleasing to a heroin addict. And so we just need to understand that's the way the world works. So proceed accordingly.
Yo, I love the examples, Brian. That was great. All right, I'm gonna keep it moving, guys, because I do have a hard stop today. So, Brian, heads up. I think I'm just gonna rip through this next segment so we can talk about Club Orange, and I'll give you some, a lot of time to talk about it. So, I'm gonna rip through this one really quick, guys. But we got to talk about this.
I want to give a shout out to our partner, Ledin, the leader in Bitcoin-backed loans. Unlock the liquidity in your Bitcoin without having to sell your Bitcoin. They've issued $9 billion in loans to over 10,000 customers since 2018. I absolutely love these guys. Not only do I have an account with them, but I also have a loan. And what I love about them is that there are no monthly payments, and you could pay back the loan at any time. As soon as you send your Bitcoin as collateral, you'll have cash in your account within 24 hours. Over 1,000 five-star customer reviews, and they've never lost a single dollar or sat of customer money. Go to learn.ledin.io/simply today, and you'll get 0.25% off your first loan. I want to give a shout out to our partner, sat123.com. Sovereignty isn't just about your money. It's about your communications too. When the grid goes down, most people go dark. Cell towers fail in hurricanes, cyber attacks, and blackouts. But satellite phones? They don't rely on local infrastructure. Iridium has 77 satellites in orbit, giving you a direct line anywhere in the US, even offshore. If you hold your own Bitcoin keys, you should hold your own comms too. Sat123.com also has everything you need to start building your Bitcoin citadel. Starlink, battery backups, Faraday bags to protect your hardware wallets, and much, much more. It's a one-stop shop for anyone serious about resilience and off-grid independence. Stay connected, stay independent, stay sovereign. Go to sat123.com/simply today and use promo code SIMPLY to get 15% off anything on the store. I want to give a shout out to our partner, BitKey. If you already self-custody your Bitcoin, you know the deal with hardware wallets by now. Complex setups, clumsy interfaces, and a seed phrase that can be lost, stolen, or forgotten. BitKey fixes that. BitKey is a multi-sig hardware wallet built by the team behind Square and Cash App. It packs a cryptographic recovery system and built-in inheritance feature into an intuitive, easy-to-use wallet with no seed phrase to sweat over. It's simple, secure, self-custody without the stress. Time named BitKey one of the best inventions of 2024. Get 20% off at bitkey.world. That's BITKEY.world with the code SIMPLY.
Guys, oh, sorry, I didn't pull it up. I'm gonna rip through this. So I did cover kind of the initial wrinkle of this story. Again, if you've been on the show, we've been covering this for basically all of last year, that there is a war right now between the U.S. Treasury and the Federal Reserve. And I think the mask is coming off. Here's the first headline from Bloomberg. Again, if you aren't familiar, as Jack Mallers said in the beginning of the show, if you were here yesterday, we were talking about the JPow clip. You know, JPow went on Twitter Sunday night. It seemed like he wanted to tank the markets. He did this, as Jack Mallers was saying, this hostage video about this, quote, indictment. And that's the key word here, this indictment from the DOJ against Jerome Powell for the amount of money they spend to build the new Federal Reserve building. Now, here's where it does get a little interesting. So this is from Bloomberg, and the headline is Global Central Bankers in, quote, full solidarity with Fed's Powell. Global central bankers have thrown their support behind Chairman Jerome Powell after the Trump administration increased pressure on the Federal Reserve. Central banks, including the European Central Bank and the Bank of England, said they, quote, stand in full solidarity with the Fed and Powell, emphasizing the importance of central bank independence. The Fed was served grand jury subpoenas from the Justice Department threatening a criminal indictment. Again, that's the key word here, criminal indictment, which Powell said is related to his June congressional testimony on renovations of the Fed's headquarters. Now, here I will pull up the ECB's kind of response or tweet. The ECB and other European and international central bankers stand in full solidarity with the Federal Reserve System and its chair, Jerome H. Powell. The independence of central bank is in the interest of the people we serve. You got to love to see it. Look, say what you want about central bankers, at least they stand with each other. You know, like you got to give it that they view themselves as a tribe. You know, a lot of the stuff we've heard about the Federal Reserve and the creation of Jekyll Island, or the creature from Jekyll Island, the creation of central banks, all of the, quote, conspiracy theories that have become true. Dude, they're standing with each other. You gotta love it. You gotta love it. Anyways, again, full solidarity. You know, the independence of central banks, this whole myth. It is therefore critical to preserve the independence. Yada yada yada. Respected colleague Jerome Powell. Yeah. We've heard it before, but it is very interesting that they did come out. Especially, remember, these are the ECB, and if you've been following the Tom Luongo theme, where a lot of the stuff, this is more of what Tom Luongo says, that a lot of the stuff the Trump administration has been doing is to essentially defund the city of London, aka the Davos crowd, which you could say the ECB is very much a part of. Hence why the ECB is standing with the Federal Reserve in this U.S. Treasury versus the Fed battle that we've been seeing. So, you know, all the conspiracy theories are all floating up in my head. But this is where it does get pretty interesting. We got U.S. Attorney Pirro, who did a tweet yesterday, and they have a slightly different take on this. They go, the United States Attorney's Office contacted the Federal Reserve on multiple occasions to discuss cost overruns and the chairman's congressional testimony, but were ignored, necessitating the use of legal process, which is not a threat. The word, quote, indictment has come out of Mr. Powell's mouth, no one else's. None of this would have happened if they had just responded to our outreach. This office makes decisions based on the merits, nothing more and nothing less. We agree with the chairman of the Federal Reserve that no one is above the law, and that is why we expect his full cooperation. Remember, I was making a point about this yesterday, that the fact we saw Jerome Powell put this on social media, trying to get the American people behind him and really lean into a lot of the democratic view of this, tyrannical president and the Treasury. It really made me wonder. I'm like, what is the PR move here? Like, why is he speaking to the American public like I am your servant here, when we all know that the Fed is not federal and it doesn't have our best interests in mind, no matter what they say, no matter what they talk about inflation and employment. They work for the bankers. I said all this yesterday. Now, going further, shouts out to Simon Dixon. Here's his response. He says, here's the ECB tweet, and he goes, "You're all shareholders in the Bank of International Settlement. Trump is likely handing US dollar monetary policy over to BlackRock," which goes into a recent rumor that apparently Trump is interviewing, I believe his name's Rick Ryder of BlackRock, the CIO, I believe it is, as the potential new Federal Reserve chair. So all the rumors about maybe some Bitcoiners, now it looks like not only is BlackRock in control of the World Economic Forum with Larry Fink, but we might be seeing BlackRock in control of the Fed here with this new kind of rumor going around that he's being interviewed. I believe it's today. Anyways, the power is shifting within the financial industrial complex. It's a ruthless game at the top, but BlackRock, again, got the job at the World Economic Forum, and they might be getting the job at the Federal Reserve. Here is Colby Smith, who works at the New York Times, and she goes, again, former Fed chairs and Treasury secretaries put out a statement on Monday defending Powell after the DOJ opened up a criminal investigation of the chair, likening the move to what happened in emerging markets. And then this is when it starts getting kind of interesting, because as Pierre Rochard said, fiaters are rallying across party lines. The fiat cause unites them into one coalition. And he's quote tweeting this professor of Harvard, and he goes, "Every former living Fed chair, Bernanke, Greenspan, Yellen, bipartisan former Treasury secretaries, Gethner, Paulson, others, bipartisan former CAE chairs, Hubbard, Manking, Romer, and me. This is not a difficult or controversial issue. The attack on Powell is dangerous." You just got to love the fiaters, just all in alignment here. So if you have any doubts of what this is and what's going on, I think at this point, it's like, okay, this is just some fiat world stuff. I think Jerome Powell is starting to trying to push back. He is getting a lot of pressure, and he is going to be out. And I know that Jerome Powell really has this idea of legacy in mind, and I think he's finally fighting to preserve that legacy. And I don't think he has much legacy to preserve, but you're seeing that there is a very active war right now between the Treasury and the Fed, and it looks like all the central bankers are on the Fed side, like surprise, surprise. Anyways, I would get your thoughts on this, Brian, but since I do have a hard stop, I do want to give you some more time to talk about Club Orange. So I will, quickly go through this commercial, and then we'll talk about Club Orange. So I'm not ignoring you, Brian, and chat. I know you guys yell at me like Opti's so rude. He didn't get the guest opinion on it. I know. I got a hard stop. So forgive me this time, Brian. Forgive me this time. But we do got to chat Club Orange. So we'll be right back.
I want to give a shout out to our partner, HIVE Digital Technologies. Fueled by clean energy, HIVE has quadrupled its global Bitcoin mining footprint and channels that same scale into high-performance compute, where their AI cloud is now ranked #1 in the world for network performance. At HIVE, you've got dual engines, Bitcoin and AI humming, roaring, accelerating in unison. They're lean and mean, they're green and clean, and they're rewriting the playbook on sustainable digital infrastructure. You can catch the latest buzz at Hive Digital Tech or at hivedigitaltech.com. I want to give a shout out to our partner, bitcoinben.io. If you're into freedom, Bitcoin, and building a real community, this is for you. Gain exclusive access to real-world, members-only, private clubs across the globe, featuring poker nights, expert-led classes, co-working spaces, educational meetups, live events, and more. Current locations include Sarasota, Nashville, Boston, Dallas, Las Vegas, and St. Louis. with new clubs launching soon in West Palm Beach, Scottsdale, Alabama, and beyond. Not to mention Bitcoin Ben's resorts in El Salvador. There's 3 of them, and they're absolutely beautiful. You'll also get access to the first fully backed Bitcoin bank with fiat ramps and savings accounts. It's called Private Key Bank. And you guessed it, it's based out of El Salvador. Go peer-to-peer with Bitcoin bulk buys. Tap into home equity for long-term Bitcoin growth. And join their exclusive mining pools if you're interested in mining. What are you waiting for? Head over to bitcoinben.io. Join today, where Bitcoin meets freedom.
All right, Brian, we are back. Again, forgive me for ignoring you in the last segment, but I need some time to chat with you, bro, about all the things with Club Orange, formerly Orange Pill App. So I think let's just start there. Let's start with the rebrand. Why'd you guys do this, and how did you guys settle on Club Orange?
Well, yeah. So yeah, just to stamp that again, if you've heard of Orange Pill App, we've been out in the market since 2023. Orange Pill App is now Club Orange. So if you were confused about that, if you didn't know what Club Orange was, if you thought I just got hired by a different company or something, no, same company, new name. And to put it in a nutshell, one, I think the branding's better, but when you have an Italian founder and they're trying to pronounce Orange Pill App, people type in the wrong names. They put the wrong URL. They look up the wrong app in the app store. So it's like they put in things like orange peel and whatever. Like nothing rhymes with orange and nothing basically rhymes with club. So you can't mistake those 2 words. It's simplicity. And at the end of the day, we want to bring people back to in real life. The future is in real life. Experiences online are going to have a place. You're always going to come to Simply Bitcoin in the morning for your morning show, and then you're going to pop back on and get your news, or you're going to get one of the shorts at night. Like we're going to tap into the internet, but the future, we're not going to live on the internet anymore. We're not going to be doom scrolling through X or TikTok like we used to. If you look at any of the metrics, those things are starting to fall off. And Bitcoiners have been ahead of this trend for a long time. And that's why Matteo built this app, is so that Bitcoiners can connect in real life. If you don't know any Bitcoiners where you live, or if you're traveling somewhere and maybe you know Bitcoiners back home, but you don't know Bitcoiners where you're traveling to, guess what? There is an app for that. It's called Club Orange. We've built every tool imaginable in this app that would enable you to more easily connect with other Bitcoiners. We have, robust messaging. We have all sorts of things to connect. But the coolest thing that we have right now, aside, and this isn't even considering the Lightning wallet, the native Lightning wallet we have that is probably the most used Lightning wallet in the world right now. But I won't even mention that. I didn't even say it, okay? Because what I want to talk about today is the ticketing that we just created. We just launched it today through the events page. So you can get tickets to any in real life event, big or small, through Orange Pill app. And so what makes this such a powerful tool is that you can pay in Bitcoin natively through the app. You get the tickets instantly. And guess what? For some of the biggest conferences in the world, we are negotiating bulk pricing that you guys get. You guys benefit from that bulk pricing because you're paying in Bitcoin. You're saving the event merchant fees, and you're tapping into our bulk pricing. And so we are trying to make it just undeniably, unreasonably simple for Bitcoiners to know other Bitcoiners in real life. I love Opti, not because I've watched his show for a long time, but guess what? Every time we're at a conference, we find each other, we give each other a hug. I get to pat him on the arm and just be like, man, you're unnaturally jacked. Like, I don't think this could be natural how buff you are right now. But there is something about connecting with somebody in real life, and it is magic. It is the best part of being a Bitcoiner, is the in real life experience. So if you've only experienced the chat section of Simply Bitcoin in the Bitcoin community, or if you've only experienced Bitcoin X, you're missing out on the coolest part of Bitcoin. Guys, there are local Bitcoiners in your neighborhood. I guarantee it. If you go on Club Orange, you will find them. If you go to the events page, you will find all the Bitcoin only meetups. And guys, that is the biggest problem when the price runs, which it's going to. Opti and I have told you the price is going to run. When the price runs, you go to another like a general non-Bitcoin specific site that hosts events, you will for sure think you're going to a Bitcoin event, and it is going to be a Web3 pitch. It is going to be the newest crypto coin pitch, and you're going to sit there for 30 minutes before you walk out of the door. It is so important that we filter every single one of these events for Bitcoin only. If you are a Bitcoin maxi, I promise you that the events you find on Orange Pill app will be Bitcoin maxi events. And that is a promise you can take to the bank. You can take it to the blockchain, whatever. Guys, this is so important. And every tool that you need to connect with other Bitcoiners is in one place.
Absolutely love it. Good, man. You know, I need to take some public speaking classes from you, because you're so succinct. Here I am, I ramble and go in circles like 47 times on one topic. But I think what is super interesting, and I actually said this before the show, is like, you know, we always joke here on Simply Bitcoin that we are just like your internet YouTube support group. You know, you come out, like you said, you hang out in the chat. It's cool. You know, we update you on what we think is the most important news, but you do need that in-person support group. And that's why Club Orange, I think, will always kind of have a place, especially right now when it feels like we're in a bear market. You know, everyone's like, it's over, and yet we're chilling at like 93K. So, you know, I totally agree with, like, my best friends now are Bitcoiners. I didn't, you know, full disclosure, I didn't find them on Orange Pill app because I found them before Orange Pill app was a thing. But if you don't have Bitcoiners in person that you consider like very close friends, I highly suggest that you curate an environment, a community around you. It's like the best thing I've ever done is hang out with all Bitcoiners. Like literally my job, I moved, every time I've moved out of my hometown, it was to hang out with Bitcoiners. And I am totally 100% behind the idea of like, you need to meet Bitcoiners in person. And this whole ticketing thing, man, it is starting to look like Club Orange is becoming the all-in-one community in-person app now. Not only sending zaps, you know, buying tickets there, meeting people, communicating with people. It's really awesome to see what you guys have been building. You guys are absolutely killing it. That's really cool. It's like what's that? I don't want to say it's like Ticketmaster now, but there's that other app that's like, man, I'm blanking on.
Call us the Ticketmaster of Bitcoin events.
Yeah, well, all right, we'll take that. Ticketmaster of Bitcoin events.
Orange is the Ticketmaster of Bitcoin events.
Yeah, we'll take
less
that.
Scammy though. We're not going to let you resell your tickets on here. I think I think Ticketmaster is letting scalpers work now. So
yeah.
Anyways, yeah.
But I think this. I don't. Since you just launched it, right? You just launched this like today. Let me check this.
Yep.
It's literally today, right before you went on the show.
Yep.
This is probably, in my opinion, one of the best reasons to get on Orange Pill app. Whether you want, sorry, Club Orange. Wow, wow, Freudian slip.
I said it too. I did it too. Yeah,
is like you said, you get discounts on all the tickets. So if you want to go to Bitcoin events, it's like a no-brainer. Why would you be buying it anywhere else? You want a discount on, everyone likes a discount. Like we all, let's be honest, we all like a good little discount. So this is probably the best reason for you guys to download Club Orange app on all the Play stores, right? All the Google, Apple
Googles
stores.
and Apples and all that stuff. Yeah, and you guys, like what Opti said, it just rings true. The highs of Bitcoin are never better than when you're with other Bitcoiners. And the lows, they're bearable when you have accountability, when you have other Bitcoiners who are in the trenches with you. Both ends of that spectrum are good. And even I'm forgetting about the middle. We're kind of in the middle right now. We're kind of in this boring phase where you don't kind of get much enthusiasm. You're paying attention to the market. You're finding out what's going on. But guess what? you want to be around other Bitcoiners because when you have Bitcoin in common, you have 6 other things in common. And that's just the way that it works. You're going to find people who are just fun to talk to. I would call it starting out on relationship second base. When you meet a Bitcoiner in real life, you know that person, you get to a good conversation very, very quickly with them. And so, yeah, that's the future is in real life. Club Orange is the tool to bring in real life at your fingertips. We couldn't do any more. I don't think there's any other features that we can build, and we're always trying to iterate. If there is another feature, we will add it. But I believe that Club Orange has every possible feature that you would need in order to meet other Bitcoiners. And guys, it's just fun. I think for so many people, Bitcoin becomes this this thing of tension. It becomes this thing of, well, I'm waiting for something to happen. Guys, you don't have to wait. You can participate in Bitcoin today. There's merchants on Bitcoin. If you want to go buy a coffee somewhere, if you want to get a haircut in Bitcoin or whatever, those things exist as well. Participate in Bitcoin. Start to learn what the Bitcoin economy is going to feel like. It exists. The Bitcoin economy exists. You can find it on Orange Pill app, or you can find it on Club Orange. See, it was such a great name before. But Club Orange, it just takes practice. I mean, I've been saying this for 2 months now, and I still, But guys, it exists on Club Orange. Club Orange, it is the tool that allows you to zip into the future of what the Bitcoin economy is going to look like. Those who understand, who are early to the Bitcoin economy, are like, they have a huge advantage. If you were early to TikTok, all you needed to do was be on TikTok and you could be this huge sensation, right? All you needed to do was be early to Twitter. And just by being on those platforms and those networks early, you benefited from the growing network effect of those networks. Metcalfe's law not only benefited the network, it benefited the people who are on the network. If you are in the Bitcoin economy, you are going to benefit from that. You're going to have more economic connections with other Bitcoiners. Bitcoiners will have the greatest buying power. They will be the most sophisticated people. They will be the most interesting people. There's no reason why you wouldn't want to have more Bitcoin friends. Club Orange, that's what we exist for, is to make that seamless and easy for you.
Let's go. Hey, Brian, look, I know Mateo hates when I always joke about this, but you guys are not doing yourselves any favors with the rebrand of Club Orange as not being a Bitcoin dating app. It's literally like, I was at the club. I was at Club Orange, and look, I found my wife. Anyways,
we have had a Bitcoin. We've had one marriage so far that we know of through the app. So you never know.
Hey, everything's a dating app if you use it correctly.
That's right. Correctly. If you use it correctly.
Oh man, I do actually. I got one more joke here because the whole Matteo being Italian and saying orange peel app. I also love trolling the CEO of my company as well. It's one of my favorite things to do. I literally do it 5 days a week, and I get paid to do it. It's absolutely amazing. So I'm glad that we can connect on that same idea as well. But Brian, I do want to pivot a little bit, because I think you glazed over it. You glossed over it. You completely didn't hit on it, but I think you need to, flex your muscles here real quick about the Club Orange wallet, because the number you told me, that did kind of like blow my mind. I think that's a very powerful message here. You got to say it before we end today's show.
Yeah. So, well, the reason why, I'm going to give you a stat here, but the reason why is the Club Orange wallet, the Club Orange Lightning wallet, has functionality that literally no other Lightning wallet in the world has. You could send 50,000 sats or 50,000 zaps, individual transactions, at any given time. Like you with the push of one button, you could zap every Bitcoiner on the network if you wanted to. We have features like mass zapping. You could zap just Bitcoiners in El Salvador. Say you want to wish them well, or you want to wish everybody in Georgia a happy holidays, or whatever you want to do. You can get so nuanced with this, and all that technology, what it does is it's allowed us to be the fastest growing Lightning wallet in Bitcoin history. The most popular wallets that most of us are pretty familiar with took about a year or 2 years to get to 1 million transactions. In under a year, in about a year, we got to 3.5 million transactions. So we have about 350% faster growth in terms of transactions than pretty much any other Lightning wallet in the world. And so, guys, it's what makes it so fast and why it's happening so quickly is because it's fun. Most Bitcoiners, and this is actually true. Most Bitcoiners have never sent a Lightning transaction. Guys, if you're on Club Orange, it is so easy to send Lightning transactions. Just send a sat, just send a couple sats. Every time I log into the app, I've received like 40 sats just because random people zap you for random reasons. They send little messages. Hey, how's it going? Hey, like, Merry Christmas or whatever. Every time you open the app, you will have sats sent to you because people are just playing with this technology. Why did the internet become the internet that we know today? Is because there was a group of really, really interesting people who just played with the internet for a generation. That's what helps it grow. That's how kids learn new skills, is through play. And that's the same thing. Like, you will get good. It sounds kind of dumb to say this. You can be good or bad at Bitcoin. You will get good at Bitcoin if you play with Bitcoin. So like Trump said, play with your Bitcoins and enjoy the Bitcoin social layer. We're here on Club Orange to make it easy.
Let's go. Awesome, Brian. It's always a pleasure having you on the show. I don't know what I did, but I deleted Club Orange off my home screen somehow, and I don't know how to get it back on. So for everyone out there that I haven't responded to recently, it's because I can't find the app. So I can only see it when I get messages. I don't know how I did it. I don't know what the hell happened, but that's why
I'll put you in touch.
I'm notoriously exactly. I'm notoriously bad at responding, but yeah. So I've seen a couple of messages, but yeah, I don't know what I did. Anyways, boomer moment here. But Brian, thank you so much. And everyone, again, to be clear here, Brian, before we go, it is on the Google Store, Google Play Store, and the Apple App Store. Club Orange, officially rebranded. Okay, let's go.
I was sorry. I was reading a comment. Yes, Club Orange and both the app stores, Google Play Store, Apple Store, cluborange.com. If you have any questions, cluborange.com. Feel free to reach out to us on
wait, cluborange.org.
Yes. I was literally reading the URL as I said it. I think our marketing campaign is going to be this from now on. We're going to say the wrong one and then have somebody correct it, because that helps it stick. So cluborange.org is going to get you to the correct site. But yeah, if you have any questions or anything like that, if you delete it off your home screen, like Opti did, then just reach out to us on X and we'll help you get signed in and good to go.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure I'm still signed in. I don't know. My phone always, like, when you click your phone on the iPhone and you like get all the options that come on, I do that like 4 times a day, and I don't know what the hell happened, but I can't find it on my phone. I need to figure it out. I'll get the app on my home screen again, but I can only see it when people respond or like DM me and stuff. So I have a hard trouble.
You've got like 5,000 sats sitting in your wallet that you haven't responded to yet.
Yeah, I bet I do. Anyways, Brian, it's always a pleasure. And actually, one last thing I got to say before we go off. If you ever do meet Brian in person, you will realize that this guy's 7 foot tall. So, he said, I'm buff. This guy's literally a giant over here. So, when you see him, you're going to really be like, oh, yeah, Opti wasn't lying. He's like legitimately 7 foot tall. This guy's a monster. So, it's always good to see you, Brian. It's always a pleasure, man.
Likewise, my friend.
All right, Brian, hang out for a second. Let me wrap up the show, and we will be back tomorrow. All right, guys. This week will be a little weird. For most of you guys, you'll be okay with it, but you're stuck with me for the most part. I want to be handling most of the duties this week. Nico will be in and out. He's got a packed schedule this week, so you already know we're gonna get super bullish this week. Hopefully some crazy bullish stuff happens, because I'm gonna be bullish anyways. All right, guys, peace out. I will see you tomorrow. Have a good rest of your day, all that good stuff, and this is your boy Opti. Peace out.
Today's episode was brought to you by bitcoinwell.com, a Bitcoin only platform on a mission to enable financial independence.